Okay, so the first groove is taken from the song Free Will, and it's during the bass solo section, and it's in 6/8. And slow, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. What's really cool about that is, first of all, his approach to 6/8, the ghost notes with the left hand, and where he's opening the hi-hat. Okay, so again, slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. All right, now let's do it up to speed. So this next pattern is actually from Villa Strangiato. That's an extremely long tune. This is in the first section of it. And this is one of those grooves that Neil kind of does quite a bit in a lot of different songs, this or a variation of this. And I always liked listening to this as a kid too, and still do. It just demonstrates how powerful of a player Neil Peart is, and how strong his left hand is. So this involves the bell of the ride, kick drum, and snare drum. So let's take a look at this real quick. I'll play it for you slow, and then I'll play it up to speed. All right, so this is just a one measure phrase, and slow it sounds like this. Fast sounds like this. Okay, like I said, you hear that or something similar to that in a lot of Rush tunes. But it's a really nice way to play that accented part on the bell emphasized by the kick drum. All right, so let's take a look at another example. Okay, so the next example we're going to look at is from the song Subdivisions. And, you know, this is another one of those patterns that when I heard it for the first time, it was the first time I think that I'd ever heard anybody doing anything like this. And this is that classic thing where Neil is playing between the hi-hat and the bell of the ride. And so what he's doing is, it's in the first part of the tune, he's playing quarter notes on the kick drum, so it's that 4 on the floor thing. And he's splitting up, you know, 16ths between his left hand and his right hand, hi-hat and bell of the ride. So it's something like this. And then he drops a snare on beat 3 of the first measure that I'm going to show you. In the second measure, it's 3, the of 3, and the and of 4. And it sounds something like this. Okay, so I always thought that was a pretty cool, inventive idea as well. All right, now let's take a look at the next example. Okay, this next example is actually off of Subdivisions, the song Subdivisions as well. And this is another really cool part. This particular phrasing is in 7/8, and I always liked the way Neil played this particular part in 7/8. So let's take a look at it. We'll do it slow, and then we'll do it up to speed. Okay, so slow, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay, that's slow, or slower than the actual speed. Here it is up to speed. Okay, so that's a part in 7/8 off the song Subdivisions, and that's another pretty cool inventive phrase that he uses. All right, let's look at another example. Okay, so this next example is taken from the song New World Man, And from what I remember or read or understood is that at that time, Neil Peart and the rest of the band were getting into different sounds. They were listening to some reggae music, and I also think that Neil Peart was influenced by Stuart Copeland and his approach to drumming. Obviously, Stuart Copeland had a pretty serious reggae influence, and so I think Neil kind of was approaching this song as well as the rest of the band from that regard. So let's take a look at that. I'll play it slow, then I'll play it up to speed, and this is going to be a 2-bar loop. All right, so let's take a look at that. Okay, before I start this, I want to point something out. The kick drum is just on the 1 and the 3 and the side stick. We're going to play a side stick is on 2 and 4. So if you take the hi-hat out of it, it's just 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. What makes it interesting and creative is what he's doing on the hi-hat. So if you can just remember that that's what's happening between the right foot and the left hand, you should be all right. I'll play it slow at first. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? A little bit quicker. So it's a cool hi-hat pattern, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, so it sounds something like that. So remember to check that song out too, which is called New World Man. Okay, so this last example is probably one of the most well-known patterns that Neil uses, or very similar patterns that he uses. This is sort of similar to the one that we looked at in La Villa Strangiato, but a little bit different. Again, he's emphasizing the bell of the ride, 16th note kicks as well against this pattern. So you'll hear it, and by the way, this is pulled off the song The Spirit of Radio, and it's something like this. We'll play it slow. See, what makes this effective to me is the fact that he does not play the beat 2 on the bell. So, right? So 1, 2, 3, 1. Nor on beat 4 for that matter, right? And, as I was messing around with this, I realized I'm much more of a finger bounce player than a wrist player. And I've always kind of wanted to strengthen my wrists a little bit more. And I think working on these kind of groups would definitely help, because it's really hard to get a nice bell sound like that, two bells in a row or beats in a row, using just your finger bounces. But with the wrist, okay, so slow, that pattern is. Okay, and again, that groove is taken from Spirit of the Radio. So anyway, I recommend you go check out all those songs if you haven't. And if you haven't listened to Neil in a while, or if you're like me, you're an old guy, and you grew up with that stuff, and you haven't listened to him in a while, you should check him out again, because there really is a reason why he's so well respected and has been for many years, because he was certainly an innovator, an incredible drummer, very creative, and definitely well worth going back and listening to again. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it sparks your interest to go back to listen to some Rush, and if you haven't before, listen to it for the first time. Until next time, thanks for stopping by.